Holy shit. Okay, chat. Let us take a moment to talk about politics. And everything that I said is going to happen has happened. Number one, Donald Trump is launching a disgusting fascist coup attempt. But also, the left is the one who's benefiting because centrist Democrats are completely discredited. These are all predictions I made before the election. And now that people are getting a taste of the oligarchic right wing, there was a bunch of polls that just dropped last night showing that maybe, possibly, could be, good things might happen. Shrinking. Okay, we'll go with shrinking. What do polls matter when we no longer live in a democracy? This motherfucker thinks we lived in a democracy. This motherfucker thinks we live in a democracy. Have you seen the United States of America, bro? Have you seen the United States of America, bro? We have motherfuckers from Montana having 2 senators. We have motherfuckers from South Dakota having 2 senators. You live in a democracy. What the fuck are you talking about? We have unlimited corporate cash in our elections. We have super PACs. We have fucking billionaires who are billionaires because of Wall Street speculation bubbles, buying entire platforms and turning them into Nazi troll farms. What the fuck are you talking? Democracy? What the fuck do you mean?
A winning message for President Trump is now appears to be a growing liability. Harry, just stay here for a second. Okay. New polling shows independents are turning somewhat sour on President Trump's economic leadership right now with the rollout of his tariff agenda. And that's exactly what Harry Enton was doing, looking into the numbers to bring it to you. Okay, we're focusing in on independents on this one. Yes. So where does he stand with independents? Just kind of base.
Yeah, we'll focus in on independents here. And independents feel that Donald Trump has vacated the center of the electorate, catering to his base. What are we talking about? Well, let's talk about the overall net approval ratings. We're going to look at the worst ever at this point in a presidency. The old record among independents for the worst ever was Donald Trump back in 2016, a net approval rating of minus 16 points. Well, Donald Trump has broken his own record here. He now holds, in this particular term, the worst ever net approval rating at this point in a presidency among independents at, get this, minus 22 points. He is 22 points underwater with independents. That breaks the old record that belonged to Trump. He has set the new record. He is completely underwater with the center of the electorate, Kate Baldwin.
And this is overall. This is on all the issues. Now, focus in specifically on the economy.
Yeah, let's focus in on the economy, right? What is driving this overall approval rating for Donald Trump among independents to go underwater? Let's take a look at the economy. And let's take a look at Trump's net approval rating on it and look at the trend line over just the last few months. You go back to January, he was slightly above water with independents at plus 1 point. Look at this drop, Kate. Oh, my. Minus 29 points. That's a 30-point drop in under 3 months of time. What independents are hearing from Donald Trump, they hate. They hate what they're hearing from Donald Trump, and they are abandoning him in record numbers. At this point in his last presidency, he was about at even, at 0 points in terms of his net approval rating on the economy, and now he's at minus 29 points. You go back through the record books, I simply put, Kate Baldwin, can't find anything close to this. This is such a record that there is no historical analogy to be 29 points underwater on the most important issue of the day with independents. This right here, my dear friends, is political poison. If an election were held today and Donald Trump's net approval rating in the economy was minus 29 points with independents, I'm not quite sure how Republicans can hold on to the House of Representatives.
Is it all?
And there you have it, chat. And there you fucking have it. And you know who the most popular politician is in America with moderates and independents? Bernard fucking Sanders. Now I have some I'm gonna be ripping Bernard Sanders a new asshole in a bit. But for the average everyday normie, Bernie Sanders represents the left. And I can tell you this right now. My personal belief is what we should do is that Bernie Sanders or whoever else is the most right-wing politician that we engage with. We still have to be in contact with the masses. But that's about as far right as I can stomach. And even then, it's probably too right-wing for me. And so what we're seeing right now is Donald Trump is collapsing. Centrist Democrat support is collapsing. And the only time they ever get even an iota of a breath of life is when they are perceived to be left-wing. And we're going to get into that more in a second.
Tariffs that are driving this?
Yeah, okay. So let's take a look here at tariffs. This is definitely part of it. A clear plan for tariffs and trade among independents. Look at this. 57%
Caleb,
say no. He doesn't even have a clear
I never say no to anybody trying to contribute.
plan for what he should be doing with tariffs and trade. And when asked whether or not they like the idea of additional tariffs, guess what percentage of independents say no, that they oppose it? It is 2/3. It is 66% of independents who oppose new tariffs. They don't like anything that's coming out of Donald Trump's right now, absent maybe immigration. But when it comes to the economy, when it comes to overall, when it comes to tariff, it's a threesome for negativity among independents. They oppose, oppose, oppose. They simply do not like the words that are coming out of Donald Trump's mouth and the plans that he is putting forward to the American public.
So showing that it's not just economic risk that he's taking with the just wait, it will get better on his tariff plan. It's a political risk as well, which is just wait, it'll get better. So.
You know what? They can wait, what is it, about 18 months until the midterm elections?
Yeah.
But eventually the bill will come due, and we'll see at that time whether or not independents turn around on Donald Trump. It would have to take something historic for it to occur.
Let us see.
We'll see.
John?
All right. With us now is Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill, a Democrat from New Jersey. She is running to be governor of that state. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being with us. As we said, you're out there running for governor right now. What specifically are New Jersey voters telling you about the president's tariffs?
Oh, I think New Jersey voters are telling me what...
Is she another CIA agent? Is she another CIA agent? I'm not familiar with her. She strikes me as CIA. Is she, like, good and I'm wrong? And here's the thing that's really crazy, chat. A Survey USA poll dropped. And it said, if you had to choose, would you rather see the Democratic Party become more progressive, stay the same, or become more moderate? 50% more progressive, 24% stay the same, 18% become more moderate, 8% not sure. The overwhelming plurality of people in the Democratic Party wanted to push to the left. Amazing. And that's, by the way, chat, that's shocking because people don't even know what this fucking means. They don't even know what this fucking means. These are crazy numbers.
seeing in that poll, they're very unhappy with these tariffs because they're affecting.
No gender ideology and identity politics in the middle would be on your team. I think what you'll find is that the people that have the strictest gender ideology are actually conservatives, man. The most progressive people on gender want you to be able to live the gender that you want to live. They want to give you radical freedom. That's the gender position on the radical left. The radical position on gender is you get to live the gender you want. And we have mutual respect. The right-wing position on gender is anybody who doesn't act exactly how I think they should act is a gender traitor and they should be criminalized. Oh, you're a long-haired man. You're a short-haired woman. Oh, you're a woman who wears pants. Like, that's the kind of shit that you are. That's the right-wingers, right? The right-wingers are the gender freaks. They're the obsessives, the penis inspectors, the child genital inspector committee. That is on the right wing, not the left. Gender ideology equals the disconnection of biology and gender. They've always been disconnected. Gender is an invented category. Like what you're saying is like gender ideology equals the disconnection of biology and ideology. And it's like, those are separate categories, man. They are separate things. The penis, the vagina, producing gametes or eggs, those are biological categories. Gender is a social construct of a complex variety of roles and performances that we each perform within society. Performances that we perform. God, that was a mouthful. But you get what I mean? Like, what being a man is in 21st century America is a lot different than what being a man was in 12th century Spain. Right? And I don't want to go back to 12th century Spain. I don't want to live in that society. So these gender roles and gender ideas are constantly shifting and changing over time. I think even you intuitively understand that, right? Like even me, I'm 40 years old. I remember back in the day, conservatives were really against women competing in sports at all. The argument was that if you make women compete in sports, you're going to masculinize them. Women are not competitive. Shut down women's sports. That was the argument. The argument was Title IX funding women's sports. Girls shouldn't be playing sports. They should be learning home economics. They should be sewing dresses and cooking cookies. And, you know, they should be playing softball. That's all lesbians over there. That was the argument that was made when I was a kid. Conservatives were against women playing sports. So, according to you, gender has already changed into whatever it is now. And I think that's what you kind of don't understand is you lack historical perspective. You lack an understanding of sociology. You lack an understanding of humanity. And so it forces you to engage with these kind of cockamamie hypotheticals and extreme examples, these outliers, as if they're what predominates. And the reality is that the left is the group of freedom. You want to be a long-haired guy? Be a long-haired guy. You want to be a short-haired woman wearing a pantsuit? Do that. We give you the ultimate freedom to express yourself as you see fit. Are you scared of being free? What is gender dysphoria? It's basically when people don't align with the gender they've been assigned by society. And, you know, personally, I think that is not something that I go through. And so I can't sympathize. I can only empathize. I can only, I assume it must feel pretty bad to go through gender dysphoria. And it seems like the science is pretty strong that affirming people's gender transition makes them lead longer and healthier and happier lives. And that's it within an oppressive society, a society that hates trans people and dehumanizes trans people. Even in that society, transition helps people. You're telling me you never wondered what it would be like to get railed? No. I hate to inform you. This is kind of one of my biggest flaws, is that I am just a straight white man. And when I say straight, I mean if I'm attracted to you, you are now feminine. That's how I define straight. Because guess what? It's all bullshit. This video is funny as fuck. It ties into what you're talking about.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Frankie's Cultural Observations. Today, we're going to be analysing corporate girlies. In the absence of collective politics, corporate girlies emerge from the rubble, lip-glossed, loyal to the shareholders, and live, laugh, latte. Capitalism's tendency to absorb social movements means feminism is being HR approved, stripped of structural critique, and turned into a hashtag. With liberation individualised, corporate girlies speak the language of empowerment while muttering exploitation under their breath, so their boomer CEOs won't overhear them and realise they're not actually the receptionists. Corporate girlies are at the end stage of optimization, an efficient biohacking productivity machine in kitten heels, a software that runs on cortisol, M&S meal deals that are kinda healthy, and a fear of outshining their higher-ups who sign their paycheck and ask them about their body count. That's disgusting. Corporate girlies don't unionise. They manifest a promotion, put in a 5 to 9 shift after they clock out, and then eat their salad at their desk between client calls. Conditioned by a system that
God
told
damn, this guy is fucking cooking right now.
them ambition equals freedom, all structural inequalities become personal growth journeys, pinkwashed into challenges to
God
overcome
damn, this
with
guy
grit, gratitude.
How the fuck is he cooking? This is like when I'm speaking, it's full of so much good shit. I want to slow it down. Like normally I would have speed up content. I would have slow it down. This guy cooks.
And Google Calendar. This is not girl power. It's famine mindset and matcha flavour, with Canva graphics and a motivational quote that says, "Empowered women, empower women," as she silently reproduces the power structure she speaks out against on Twitter and closes the window of the glass ceiling to keep the mosquitoes out. In our hyper-individual culture, corporate girlies are just following a script that tell them they can only perform leadership by disavowing solidarity. Their bio says, "Be
Damn.
kind," even though last week she made an intern cry in the WeWork toilets, because sometimes mentorship looks like traumatizing people who are just out of university, like her own bosses traumatized
Damn,
her.
dude, this is flambe. Meditations for the anxious mind. Ugh. It sounds like a good podcast, but I have to say this, chat. I have a visceral hatred of millennial anxiety posting. I know, this is my betrayal of my generation. I hate when millennials are like, "I'm just feeling so anxious. I'm feeling so, I hate it." I don't know why. I think it's because I'm like fighting against my own anxiety and I don't want it to take root. So like the way that I've dealt with like the anxieties of life is I just smash anxiety and I turn it into a different emotion, you know? So I'm emotionally stunted. I can't just be in my anxiety. I have to turn it into something else. And so I dislike it. I find it to be like distasteful and uncomfortable, and I just don't like it. I don't like hearing it. I don't want to get in that headspace. You know, so that's how I've like kind of dealt with it. Maybe that's not healthy, but so I just find it, I don't like to go into the anxious spaces of people talking about it, because then it's like, now you're like injecting your anxiety into me. I was anxiety free. I was cool, calm, collected. I was relaxed. I was moisturized. And here you are injecting your anxiety into me with your anxiety posting. And I'm just like, nah, dude. Tough it up. Slap yourself on the face. You can do it.
Tactic that she's passed down via intergenerational trauma. Would you like to add?
So you admit you repress your emotions. How can we trust you now that you say you never wondered how it would be to get railed? I'm not saying I repress. I convert. I change. And that's called being masculine, being raised a man. Like this is the definition of what being a man is. Being a man is somebody who has had their emotional wounds cauterized. Being a man is somebody who has learned to burn away the parts of themselves that make them feel. That's what being a man is. It's just like, oh, did this thing happen to you that made you feel sad? Well, that's pretty bitch made of you to feel sad. So you have to turn everything into an approved masculine emotion. And there's like a few approved masculine emotions. One of them is like anger. We all know that. Another one is humor. Everything has to be a joke. So those are like the different strategies. Either you're mad about shit or you're constantly cracking jokes about it. Those are the approved male emotions. Or stoicism, just kind of like being unaffected. Are you having a hard time? Nah. Not gonna lie, brother, I think that might be your family. My dad was never like that. I learned from him. He's very sweet and emotional. Bro. You're talking about some sort of ascended shit. I'm talking about the masculinity of our mass culture. I'm talking about the masculinity. Are you shitting me? People go after me all the time on this front. Like, and the fact that I'm unaffected by it is part of the fun. Mike was in the Marines. No, I wasn't in the Marines, but I was in another branch. I can't help myself. I just saw Austin Powers. What's this?
Can I get you a drink, Mr. Powers?
Sure.
Austin, we've got to look for Dr. Evil.
Wait. I've got an idea.
Okay. I don't know why you linked me that, but it wasn't vibing with the energy I was at. Let's go back to corporate girlies. Maybe it's funny. I don't know.
The glass ceiling is my enemy.
Corporate girlies don't have time to go to music festivals, so Mental Health Awareness Week becomes their Glastonbury. With a hot lineup of...
I'm a social worker, and it's a joke among us that men have emotions happy or angry. Yeah, of course. You could be jokey and happy, but not too jokey or happy, because then it's cringe. It has to, like... You have to be this kind of, like... If you're like authentically happy, then people are going to try to take the wind out of your sails. That's just what we do. Like, I'm not even saying this is good or bad. I'm just saying that this is the reality of life. Yeah, I saw that wide scope.
Pastries in the boardroom, a breathing workshop, and a keynotes panel about feeling the fear and doing it anyway, featuring a speaker from HR. A corner of the office gets converted into a wellness zone with essential oils, a few beanbags, and a gratitude wall that has post-it notes that say things like, get into work with a kick-ass team.
Comrade Custom says, I was 7 crying over my parents' divorce, and my dad said, cut the baby bullshit. Seeing Larry David early reminded me of this old chestnut. Oh yeah. The Bernie Sanders Larry David skit. Yeah. That's a good one.
And work from home Fridays. This simulation of workplace solidarity doesn't diagnose mental illness. It disguises it beneath a performative pastel-colored gesture to show how much the company care. As long as you have a corporate-friendly mental illness, like the type of anxiety that makes you smash...
She's kind of like slang, like the Macy's catalog. You know what I mean? How do women do it? The amount of effort that you guys put in, how do you do it? It's just so much effort to just exist. My cousin did a semester in college in Kazakhstan, admitted to interviewing to work at the FBI, and has worked at a gun shop for a long time. Is it safe to say he is intelligent? He probably wanted to be.
Your deadlines, or a mild depression that only hits during the weekend. Why ask for paid time off or extra accommodations when you can just do a 15-minute guided meditation on healing your inner child and then go back to your desk with a smoothie? In the corporate world, self-care has a shelf life. When employee well-being becomes brand management, wellness is the new wallpaper. So when the house burns down, you'll be left holding a scented candle and a list of positive affirmations. And unsurprisingly, someone has pulled up the ladder. Corporate girlies have to cosplay as their own dads, with blazer on, volume lowered, and femininity muted. In a boardroom that confuses sensitivity with incompetence, the men at the table don't just look like her dad, they think like him too. Interrupting her every time she tries to speak, smirking when she makes a suggestion, and asking if she's dating anyone. Under such conditions, womanhood gets erased. She's not allowed to be emotional, only enthusiastic, agreeable, but never flirty, assertive, but
yeah, I mean, like, he's cooking so much, man. He's legitimately cooking.
only when speaking to the cleaners. Corporate girlies don't rage against the machine. They become the machine, who circles back on budgets, rallies against deadlines, and organises the troops for a coffee morning they legally have to attend. They don't have time to resist patriarchy. They're too busy penciling in face-to-face meetings that could have been done over Zoom. So their revolution will not be outspoken. It'll be rebranded, sanitized into a raw and vulnerable LinkedIn post about imposter syndrome. When personal struggle replaces political analysis, being resilient becomes a substitute for having human rights. When everything gets flattened into images, we see the rise of a type of identity politics that concerns itself with representation and not redistribution. Diversity gets measured in head counts rather than helping hands, love heart emojis rather than power restructuring. Unable to imagine an alternative future, we're stuck simulating protests for brownie points. Inclusion becomes a fashion accessory, a slide on the business deck.
Once you do real protest, you get fired. Try to protest for Gaza, chat. See what happens.
Rather than a realistic goal to strive towards. What was once liberation has been distilled into sign value, Instagram posts, and congrats on your latest career move, superstar. With no hopes of a living wage, all we get is leadership panels on how to have a healthy work-life balance. What gets sold as progress is just exploitation in an ethically sourced dress, a girly pop mask stretched over the same old corporate machine, making it easier to look at and harder to critique. Can you hold this?
Are his shoes loose? Pick up your feet. British running chat. That was really good. I like that. That was like, how do I even describe it? It was like a white man slam poetry. But I enjoyed it nonetheless. Lots of bangers in there.